it's very, very important that your voices are heard. Because as an advocate for the Northwest, I'm only going to be able to do certain things, and this is one of the things that I chose to do because I tried to advocate for it for 11 years, and it never came into fruition by the city. So I said, I'm going to do it and bring these incredible people here so you can hear their voice. So with that being said, we're going to go to the next segment, which is going to be, and I love this from my brother, Dr. John Shea, to tell us about, really start off with our health. What it is about our health. Then we're going to go to Dr. Sims, and she's going to enlighten us from her perspective. And then we're going to go down to Sean, who's the therapist, and she's going to get some real insight. And then we're going to end up with Ricky, so she can give us a combination of the practical side of it. Okay? So, but why don't you start off, John?
How should I start? Let's see. Well, I guess we're talking about what can we do about our health, really. And, we've touched on, we don't want just some pill. You don't want them to just drug you because you're stressed or whatever it is. You need to be healed, and there's some therapy involved. So, in medicine, it's tough because I am trained as an MD medical doctor, right? And I did family medicine for a while, started practice down in, we had an office in East LA, Montebello, downtown LA, in Pasadena. And pharmaceutical reps come all the time, right? They choose the young, pretty girls, right? And they stand at the window, hey, doctor. Trying to get my attention, and I'm thinking, you wouldn't talk to me if it wasn't this setting, so I'm gonna make you wait like 2 more hours. And then they turn out to be really nice people, and I felt really bad. But no, okay, something goes back to then they say, hey, we've got this dinner, or maybe it's Lakers are in the playoffs, and we got a luxury box. I'm like, I don't know what that is, I'll go. And I'm watching Laker playoffs, and I just moved to California, and I thought this is normal. Right? And so then they say, oh, by the way, this is the drug to use when somebody has this issue. Use this drug. Oh, the latest stuff shows this. So your education outside of medical school and residency becomes what these salespeople are telling you. And they come in and they start to say, hey, look at the latest studies. Oh, okay, thank you for letting me know. That's the latest thing for pain, for blood pressure, for these things. And then I started to use some of these new drugs, and I almost put this guy, he almost died. And I told the pharmaceutical company, what is this? I mean, I thought you said it was okay. This guy almost died. They said, oh no, there should be no heart problems. This is a drug called Vioxx. And then a few months later, I found out it's being removed from the market because it was killing people. And I thought, okay, so the FDA approved this whole drug by this drug company. You guys came and sold it to me hard, and then now you're pulling it off the market because people were dying, and I almost lost somebody. Thank God he didn't. And so that's where I started really questioning all of this. About that time, I joined the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. And anti-aging were mainly all these older doctors not wanting to get sick and get old. And they knew that what they were doing was just pushing drugs. And so there's this whole society, American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. And so it turns out the things that we can do it was about living longer, not wait till you're sick. Wait till you're broken and then try to patch it up. It's like, what do Olympic athletes, like they just had Olympics, they have doctors for what? Just waiting for them to get sick? No, they're there to say, okay, this is how you enhance your performance, this is how you're gonna sleep better, this is how you're going to, just perform at your best. How do you have a better life? And so that was a big thing. And all of this, the things that we were learning at the American Anti-Aging Medicine, when I started looking at anti-aging, it was not more drugs, it was not more fancy chemicals that somebody created. It went back to natural things that existed already, right? And then that balance. And when you could do that, people were living longer. But who's talking about it, right? So I'm gonna mention one thing, melatonin. All right, I remember one of the keynote things that said melatonin. I was like, melatonin? It's like this generic thing that's been out for decades, right? It's so inexpensive, you can buy a 30 to 60 day supply for $10. But why were they talking about melatonin, right? Because I think, isn't that something to help you sleep or something, right? So instead, there's like, okay, well, these studies show that in mammal studies, they live 25% longer. what do you mean 20 what? It's like, no, you think you're gonna live this long, now you can live 25% longer. I was like, what? So then they show, see, in mice. At this age, usually these mice are elderly and they probably will die. But these mice on melatonin are trying to reproduce still. So I'm not saying you're gonna live 25 more years in a nursing home. It means 25 more years that you're gonna say, hey, let me try ballroom dancing. Right? I mean, the quality of life, right? So it's just melatonin. And I thought, wait a minute, really? And so, okay, well, NASA, they had all these astronauts. They did their studies on this melatonin and they thought all astronauts would be on melatonin. Why? Because when they go up in the sky, the higher you go up, including when you're on a transatlantic flight, you're way up there, you're getting a lot of radiation as well. So female pilots get breast cancer, there's all these other things that we know happen. But it turns out melatonin protects them from radiation damage, this melatonin in your body. They found that if you get a chest x-ray or a CAT scan, if you're taking melatonin, the melatonin has the antioxidants that capture the damage, and then it'll show up in the urine, and so they'll detect that. And suddenly after you do an x-ray, in the urine will have this byproduct of the melatonin as it protected you. And then you see these animal studies where they give the animals these poisons that will damage the brain cells. But if you give them melatonin and then give them this poison, and then they dissect the brain out, no damage to the brain, right? And so here's this thing that helps you live longer, fight disease, all this stuff, and it's so inexpensive, but nobody's talking about it. I wonder why? Because where's the profit? Who's going to make the money? Right? So I guess I could go run a bunch of ads and spend tens of thousands of dollars running ads talking about melatonin, but you just go to Costco or CVS and pick it up for $5, right? Yeah. So you think about it, it's like if you're here and you know you've got generations behind you coming up and you want to be around, there you go. Here's one thing you can just take. Take melatonin. It's probably like 3 to 5 milligrams for an adult. American Pediatric Association, it's approved. Kids can take it. And if I give it to my kids, I have to be careful because make sure they already brush their teeth because later they're like, and it's not alcohol, it's not Benadryl.